Welcome to Curious Life of a Child-Free Woman, where we have conversations on culture, wellness, self-expression, and ideas to make the world better, all explored from a child-free perspective. I'm Emily Paulsen. Let's get curious together. I was immediately drawn to today's guest because of her subtitle on Instagram and the name of her Substack, Nobody's Mother. Most of us are here because we are not aligned with a traditional life script. But if we want to do things differently, maybe even unconventionally, we don't have very many examples of how to live a fulfilled, happy, whole life without checking all of those prescribed boxes. That's why Rebekah Buege's work is so important. She's a mentor for body neutrality, intentional singleness, joyful feminism, and self-confidence. In her Substack, Nobody's Mother, have to say it again, she explores identity and what it means to stop being the good girl who accepts the bare minimum in return. I'm excited to talk about this wild concept of choosing our life consciously and validating our own choices instead of waiting for someone else to do it. Welcome to the show, Rebekah.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. I was so excited when I got the invite. So, yes, thanks for reaching out.
Thank you for saying yes. I have so many things I want to ask you about. Let's start with body neutrality because we hear this term body positivity all over the place. And then I feel like that's taken on a whole new meaning in the era of GLP-1s and this idea of neutrality. I haven't heard much. So can you tell us what that means?
Yeah. So, years ago, I really struggled with body image. And sometimes people are like, what, really? And it's true. And I realized as someone who falls within the beauty standard, right? I'm a thin white woman who lives in America. Come on. I realized if I struggle, anyone can struggle. And this is such a systemic thing. This isn't something that's just like, well, Rebecca's got an insecurity. No, there's a system set up to make everyone feel like shit about their body. And so I think the body positivity movement is a separate thing that's like, hey, other bodies exist and we need to acknowledge that. And we need to make clothes that fit them. And we need to accommodate that. Take into account the fact that bodies exist other than this type of body. And we need to represent that. We need to see it in media. We need to do this and that. Body neutrality is about your own personal relationship with your body. And is this something that I am thinking about every day that weighs me down, that my thoughts constantly go back to? That's a negative body image. But if you have body neutrality, it's like, no, I don't really think about my body. I like it. I take care of it. I respect it. I love it. But I'm not sitting there going, oh, how is my arms going to look in that shirt? Oh, I shouldn't have done this. Or, oh, I need to wear this because I look so good in that. Using our body to get the feelings or protect ourselves from the feelings that we think our body is creating for us. So to me, body neutrality is that has to be the first step. If you are stuck in a negative body image loop and your self-talk is critical, something like body confidence or body positivity just maybe won't even seem possible. It's like, that's not possible for me. I can't do that. Body neutrality is like, oh, tell me more about that. That it seems a little more possible. And so, yeah, I like that term because I think it opens the doorway in our minds a bit more of what's possible for us. I'm glad you asked about that because I'm literally editing my second edition of my books. I have books
Ah!
about body image. And I released it a few years ago, but last year I was like, I have so much more to say about this. And the world has changed so much in the last few years. And I want to rewrite this. So I'm rewriting it and it will be published in a few weeks.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, what's the name of the book?
So it's called The Body Image Solution.
Okay.
It is available right now, but that's the first edition. So March 21st, second edition will be released and it's so much better. I love it.
Okay, well, you and I, let's stay in contact because I'll share it with all of the audience when the new edition comes out. I'm starting to learn the older I get that I think neutrality is the goal for everything. And I never thought about that before. We're so conditioned to be the best, 100%, hustle, go. The goal is to be amazing at everything, right? And now I'm like, wait a minute. Maybe the goal is to detach a little bit from some of this stuff that we're conditioned to be obsessed with.
Yeah. Well, the goal is to be happy. The goal is to be at peace. The goal is to not be striving or beating yourself up all the time for something you can't even control. My body doesn't have to look a certain way in order for me to feel a certain way. And once you believe that, and once you start to pick apart the things that make you go, I don't believe that, you just realize, oh, this was all in my head the whole time. And that doesn't mean it's not real, but it does mean I can fix it.
I appreciate you sharing your story too. I've shared on here before that I had a period of eating disorder behavior. And I feel like this is so common, unfortunately. Everybody I share this with, and I've also gotten the feedback too of like, are you kidding me? You're 5'2" and petite. What could you have a problem about?
Why are you insecure? Yeah.
Yeah, right. It's all relative. It's all self-inflicted and insane. And in research for a different episode all about our relationship with food, I found this stat, and I found it multiple places, that American women on average spend 17 years of our life thinking about body image.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You don't even need to cite your source. I believe that.
When I say it, women are always like, yeah, that seems about right. That tracks.
The mental space that you free up when you just don't care. And that's the thing too, that people are afraid that it's like, well, if I stop caring, then I'm just going to let myself go. Actually, you won't, because your value system changes. It's like right now, I don't care about looking a certain way, but I still care about being flexible, being strong, being able to do things, especially as a single woman. Guess who does everything around here? Me. So it's like, I have to be strong to be able to lift up my packages and bring them inside and do things. So you care for your body in a different way, and it's a better way. But again, these mental blocks, and the book goes through in almost painstaking detail of, where did this come from? Who said that? Why do you believe it? Like really unraveling all of that. But once you get there, it's like, oh, all right, this all makes sense. I'm done. I'm free. So
Freedom. Well, this work is really important. So I'm glad that you're doing it.
thank you.
You're welcome. And I'm glad that you mentioned as a single woman, because this is where I want to go next. And we could probably do a whole conversation on how that relates to our physical health, right? We get questions all the time as child-free people, who's going to take care of you when you're old? Who's going to help you if you need to move? And it's like, you know what? I am lifting as heavy as I freaking can. And I'm storing away as much money as I can because I'm not wanting to rely on anybody. But singleness is such a fun area of this to explore. So I use the phrase intentionally single when I introduced you. What does that mean?
So for me, intentional singleness is being intentional while I am single. It's not being single on purpose, because I'm very open to a partner. I'm open to an amazing partner who knows how amazing I am and can lift me up while I lift him up. And it's just awesome. That's what I'm open to. But while I'm single, it's like, okay, I'm not waiting around for this guy to show up before I start doing the things that I look out at other people doing and go, ooh, I want to go to Paris. Ooh, I want that bracelet. Ooh, I want that handbag. Ooh, I want to have a house. I want that car. The things that we tell ourselves, well, maybe when I'm married, I will take that trip. Maybe when I'm married, I'll get a dog. Maybe when I'm married, I'll finally buy a property, because as someone who's moved around the world and around the country, I was always a little afraid of like, well, if I start putting down roots, maybe my partner lives in LA and now we've got to figure that out. And I've got this house, and I just had to stop planning my life around some hypothetical relationship that doesn't even exist and may never exist, and getting comfortable with the idea of, okay, what if this is how your life is forever? How would you act? What choices would you make? And just being intentional about your singleness. It's not even really about, I'm not open to a relationship, or I'm single by choice and by design, and I never want a partner. It's not that, but I definitely never want a bad partner, because I've had that and that sucks. That's intentional singleness to me.
I like it. This is such a real thing. I've had conversations with girlfriends over the years where it is like exactly what you said about the house, right? I'm ready to buy a place. I have the money to buy a place, but what if I fall in love with someone and he has a place? And now how are we going to make that work, right? Or what if I furnish my whole place and then the guy comes with stuff, and then what's going to happen to all the stuff that I bought? I really want a dog, but what if he has a dog? Women were so good at strategizing for imaginary stuff. And it's this layer of, I don't know, control, security to feel like if I think of everything, if I get ahead of everything, then nothing can go wrong. Nothing can surprise me. It will all happen in perfect order, which is completely made up.
Which has never happened for anyone.
Never. Talk about wasting time. 17 years on body image and then hours on this.
I know. But when I hear that these women are voluntarily, no one is requiring them to do this, voluntarily sacrificing their own present desires to accommodate for hypothetical preferences of a stranger. Why? We are so conditioned to build our life around a family, a man, a partner, whatever, that we literally tell ourselves no in the meantime, and we wait. And then what does that do? It reinforces this belief that it's like, well, my life can't start until I find a partner. Yeah, because you're not doing the things you want to do. Buy the house, paint it pink. I want it so obvious that a woman lives here. I have my dolls from childhood set up in my house. I have this Barbie doll that I bought from the year I was born. I have purple and pink and flowers everywhere. This is my house. I love the Barbie movie for that reason. I'm like, this is my Barbie dream house, okay? And this is how it's going to be. And any man who wants to be involved in some capacity, he's going to love that about me, actually. It's not that he's going to have to get on board with it. He's going to love that.
She's so her.
She's so her. Yeah, unapologetically. And just like, yeah, this is the way it is. And I love this. So it's helped so much because I look around and I'm like, yeah, this is how I want my life to be. I've got the house. I've got the dog. It's great. And it's those little things that I think it surprises you how much it makes a difference. You sit there and tell yourself, well, I'll just wait. Well, I'll just wait. Well, I just won't do that yet. And it's like, okay, well, just know that you are sacrificing your own desires for no reason.
Yeah. For some imaginary finish line that may never come.
Yeah.
And what a sad thing to set aside your potential happiness today for some imaginary finish line. And that's how you get upset when it doesn't come. And we have expectations on so many things that I don't even think we realize we're doing. This is one of them. This expectation of finding the perfect partner. People have expectations around starting a family, around hitting this certain level at their job, hitting financial freedom, moving to a city, right? It's all these, I'll do this when. And it just robs you of a capacity to be present and joyful today because you're not focused on today. You're building up this idea in your mind.
Yeah. And it actually is the same concept as the whole body image thing because we tell ourselves the same thing about our body. I'll feel this way when I look this way. I'll feel this way, or I'll be able to get a partner when I do this or that. Or like, I need to change this first or whatever. And it's like, well, that's not actually true. That's preventing you from enjoying the body that you do have. And you can take it down to the bare minimum. It's like, can you see? Can you smell? Can you taste? Can you touch? Can you walk? Okay. You've got a lot more than some other people. And appreciating what you have helps you build that intentionality because it's like, okay, I'm going to use what I have and I'm going to maximize what I have and be grateful for this, whether it's in my singleness or in my imperfect body that we all have to deal with. How can I make the most of this? And you realize that it's like, yeah, I was just self-imposed limits.
How has it felt for you now that you have embraced this and you're like, okay, I'm doing the house the way I want to. I'm going on all the trips that I want to. Side note, we need to be personal friends because I am right now rebuilding our closet to include my childhood Barbie dream house in the closet as like a shoe rack. We need to have Barbie dream house conversations. But now that you're doing that, has this felt like a relief or a release to you? What's the emotional experience?
I think it feels like I'm grateful to myself for finally moving past those self-imposed limits of just like, yeah, that was crazy. Okay. So thank you, Rebekah, for just being like, no, this is weird. I'm not doing this. So gratitude, peace. Sometimes I'll walk around here and I will say out loud, oh my God, I'm so thankful for my life. I'm so thankful that I bought this place. I'm so thankful that I painted this room purple. Just saying that when I feel it. And I think it's also just comfort I've created this home that feels like me, that also isn't decorated to be comfortable to a potential man. It's not the millennial gray or whatever they call it. It's not just white, gray, bland, whatever. It's like, no, a woman lives here. It's very clear. I live here. And yeah, it just feels comforting. And when you are single and living alone, you need to have all the comfort you can get. It does get lonely. I'm not going to pretend like everything is always perfect and whatever, but it helps.
I love that. I appreciate you sharing it. And I think it is important to acknowledge maybe downside is too strong, but I don't believe people who come on and say, everything is perfect. I've made this decision. There's no downside whatsoever to this life path that I'm on. And what I mean by that, we had a guest on here early in the podcast. Her name is Marsha Drat Davis. She's in her 80s. She's child free by choice. And she was a pioneer in that. Went on 60 Minutes back, it was the 60s or the 70s, and got death threats and was very vocal about this choice before anybody was at all accepting of this as like something a woman could do. And she loves to have this public persona of saying, I'm in my 80s and I still don't regret it. It was the right choice for me. But in our conversation here, she was like, you have to accept that there's going to be a little bit of grief either way. And I think about that all the time. It's not like, okay, I've made this decision to never have a baby. There'll never be a second in my life where I don't think, what would that have been like? Or would that have allowed me this experience that I'm not getting over here? Singleness and partnership and the partner we choose. And so many of these decisions, it's like you pick a path because it's 99.9% where you need to be right now. And I think it's also okay to acknowledge the moments where it's like, maybe just in this 5 minutes, this is a little shitty or this is a little disappointing. And then, like, as soon as you say it, usually you're out of it, right? I think that's an important thing to bring in.
Yeah, and welcome to life. Hey, is this your first day here? There is disappointment everywhere. There's disappointment in every decision that you make. There is doubt, or there can be doubt in every decision that you make. Everyone on the planet is sitting there going, I wonder if I would have done this, what would have happened? That's just the human experience. And so I find it very funny when people talk about or criticize or question single women or child-free women or whatever. Why aren't you questioning the married people? That every other day we hear about infidelity and divorce, death. Let's be real. The real threat is not women living alone. So it's like, why do I need to defend myself when this is just part of the human experience? Sure, I have doubts. Yes, when I start dating someone and it doesn't work out, it's really disappointing. And it's like, oh gosh, I was really excited about the possibility that, hey, maybe my single days are over and I can build something with this guy and it would be great. Oh, that's not going to work for me. Thankfully, I can turn back to my beautiful life that I have set up and this comforting home and my dog, and I've got the support. I don't feel like, oh my God, I have to make it work with this guy because he's my ticket to being able to get the house and go on the trip. I've done all of that. So it's like, he just needs to be my partner. And so it actually puts less pressure on dating, makes me more open to it because it's not like, this is the person that's going to make my life start. But yeah, there's disappointment and questioning and is this right or is this wrong in everything. So I don't think that's unique to singleness or child-free people. There are a lot of people in my comments that are finally admitting, hey, I wish I didn't have kids. I love my kids, but I'm jealous of you. Come on. It's not to say one choice is better than the other, but it's like there's regret and doubt, and that's humanity. And that sucks, but it's part of it.
It's part of it. And it's so real. I get multiple DMs a week from moms. It's always with this caveat, I love my kids, but I didn't know I had a choice, or I just went into it because my sister and my best friend both had a kid in the same year, so I did too, or it was my family's expectation and I couldn't see outside of that. A million reasons, right? There's so much nuance to all of this. And now they're coming to women like us saying, I wish I could be more like you. And we've heard our whole lives, why aren't you more like them? It's crap all around.
They weren't intentional. That's the intentional part, that it's like, hey, if you have always wanted to be a mother and you want that, good for you. Being a mother is a huge responsibility. You are shaping another human being. That's big. But I don't have to do that. Just because I'm a woman doesn't mean that I have to want that job. And if you want that job, great. I hope that you have a partner and a community and a support system to be able to do that well. But if you're not being intentional about really big life choices, don't be surprised when years later you go, oh God, that wasn't what I should have done. I feel you.
My ultimate goal is that all women, and I know this is like a grand thing to say, but I think we can do it collectively over time.
We're here.
We're here, we're trying. My goal is that all women have the space to know themselves well enough to make the choice that's right for them. And it isn't that one path is better than the other. It's not, right? All of this should live in equality, but it is about that inner knowing and that inner wholeness, which is the same as being more open to the right partner and being able to hold a certain standard, because it's not a necessity that you bring this into your life or you're going to die. And the same thing with body images. It's all related. It comes down to this internal feeling of fulfillment that can be self-generated and self-fueled. And then you make the choices that are right for you, and at least right for you in that season. That's the goal, I think.
Yeah, everyone should be able to know themselves to a point where they can make those decisions with intention. And structurally, we have the support in place in our world to allow them to do that. One of the reasons that I get the heebie-jeebies when I think about having a child is because of how expensive it is because of how common it is for men to just bail. And now you're a single mom, and it's like, well, I don't want that. And then I have to go out and work and do the mother thing and do this and pay for that. The structure's not in place for me to feel comfortable or safe to do that. And I have not got even close to meeting the type of partner that would be required for me to trust someone to take on that role together. So it's just the environment isn't correct for me. A lot of women are finding out too late the environment is not correct. And I can't personally fix that. Well, unless it changes, I'm not interested. And that's my perspective on dating too, that it's like, whoa, a lot of these guys are just bad news, bad vibes. And unless it changes, I'm just not interested. And that's fine. But then they're missing out because I'm great.
Yes.
I'm a great partner to have. I'm a great friend. Hey, man, that's fine if you can't be what I need. But I'm not going to give up on needing these things or expecting these things.
I think it's so important the way you talk about that in your content too. You talk about standards, I think, from a lot of different perspectives and different angles. And women can get a bad rap. Men can too, and for different categories, I think, of having this list where they're like unwilling to compromise or unwilling to bend. But really, when we look at society, I think way too many people are bending for this partner to make it work or to go with somebody else's expectations or needs. Okay, I wrote down a quote that you said because I thought this was really powerful. You said, if you're a woman with high standards and a man wants to marry you, that's a compliment to himself. So say more about this. I think women need this encouragement. I have a lot of friends who are single over 40, and there's something about this number 40 like triggers this next layer of fear around this. And that's where I think sometimes we can start to slip into an identity we don't really want. So can you say more?
So I've had the experience of men will start to date me. They'll understand who I am and what I have and what I'm all about. My standards are high. And they'll very quickly start talking about the future and settling down and saying things like, I think that we could have a good life together. I think that you're the type of woman I would want to marry and all this stuff. And a younger version of me took that as a compliment. And I started to realize, well, first of all that he knows and sees about me is surface level stuff so far. We haven't really gotten to know each other in a way that's meaningful or deep. I'm sure he likes what he sees so far because I'm great, but he doesn't really know inside Rebekah. I haven't let him see that yet. I also don't know him very well. And so if I openly, especially now with my platform, if I'm openly like this person, right? That's like, hey, Rebekah says this and she's got these standards. Anyone that I would be like, hey, look, this is my man, automatically comes with my stamp of approval. For him to be like, oh yeah, I'm her man, I'm going to be the man for you. That is him saying, yeah, I meet all your standards. And it's like, well, I decide if you meet all the standards. And some of these standards just can't even be known or understood until time goes by. That it's like consistency is part of it. You've known me for 3 months. No, we're not even there yet. And so it really means very little if a man wants to marry you, especially when he's first getting to know you, because it's like, well, yeah, marriage benefits men. The amount of unpaid labor and invisible contracts that men think women owe them when they are in a relationship stacked in their favor. So it's like, duh, you want to marry me. You want me to be your wife. Can you be my husband? Do you know what that looks like? Have you asked? Or are you just living in fairy tale land of, it would be so great to come home to this woman every day and to have her nurturing me and pouring into me? I bet it would. I would love to have me pouring into me. And I don't know what it's like to be a woman in her 40s. That's the other thing. So it's like, I can't really speak to that. I'm 33. I'm a woman in her 30s. That's another kind of milestone of like, oh God. Well, I suppose they probably mean it in a flattering way, but it comes across as a threat or an insult because it's like, you want to cage a free bird. I'm doing well on my own, and we haven't really talked about what you would do in a long-term relationship or who you can be to me in the ways that I would need. And so right now, this comes across as I want to get you all to myself and keep you over here. I don't want that. I haven't agreed to that.
It's such an interesting perspective, and I see it. I get it. I mean, we have the data that shows men are the happiest, the healthiest. Everything is going the best in their lives when they're married.
Yep.
Women are the exact opposite. Everything tanks for us in a long-term relationship. And then you add kids on, and the data gets even worse about women's mental health and physical health and all of those things. So, yeah, I do think we're in this era. And we've broached the topic of men's mental health here a little bit. And I think I want to have more of that conversation, but I think it should be had with men.
Yeah, that's their thing.
It's their thing. I don't like it when two men sit around and talk about women. So I don't want to do that to men either. But I do think we're in this reckoning of roles. The most adept, self-aware men are putting content out about, wait a minute, men are crumbling with, well, where am I? Women are so educated. They're making money. They're independent. They own their homes. And it's this whole psyche of being the provider. And they're like, no, no, no. You still provide as in a partnership. You give emotional support. You lend an ear. You're a sounding board. You're an equal partner in the laundry, all these things. So I feel like culturally, it's a really fascinating microcosm of events where women are stepping into our own power. Some men get it. Some men are freaking out and doing horrible things through the freak out. And then society is just, what do I do as an individual? So it's really fascinating. And I think this is a part of it.
And I think it's patriarchy is finally being put under a microscope by men and women. Women are saying patriarchy demands a system of dominance. I am above you. You are above them, but I'm above you. Someone else is above me. There's a system of hierarchy and dominance within patriarchy, and it's usually men above women. Well, we aren't beneath them anymore in terms of education, access to resources. And that makes them go, well, now what do I do? I can't even be dominant over a woman. What does that say about me as a man? I'd forget being dominant over other men. I can't even be dominant in this. And it's like, yeah, why do you need to be dominant over anyone? That's patriarchy telling you that you have to be above and control and all of that. It's not a power struggle. What we want is partnership. And that's what feminism really offers. When I read a few books by bell hooks talking about the will to change men's masculinity and all about love, and these books, it's like feminism, and this is where joyful feminism comes in. I think feminism gets a bad reputation because it's all this angry feminist, and anger is a very helpful tool in processing the mistreatment and the unfair systems that are in place. But we need to move beyond anger into, hey, we finally have rights that we always should have had. We can open a bank account, we can be paid for our work, we can get educated. We are now looking for partnership, equality, not equality in we both do the same thing or whatever, but pairing. You do this, I do this. It's balanced. You may be good at something else. I'm really good at this. It doesn't matter if one is more masculine or feminine or whatever that even is. Can we be better together than we each were apart? And like you said, for a long time, the answer was no. You are better with me and I am worse with you. That's not a good deal. So we're not taking that deal anymore. This is all I'll say about men. Men, I think, just need to get over the concept that you don't need to dominate anyone to feel like a man. And if that's your definition of masculinity, you got to figure that out because that's weird.
I love this. And I love joyful feminism as a phrase that you have coined. And I think there's a power in that because even women sometimes turn away from the idea of feminism because it's like, I don't really want to burn my bra in front of people. We have this idea that you're loud, brash, like, "Oh, I'm not going to curl my hair because that's part of the patriarchy." And it's like, no, it's not that. So I think the joy centering that is really important to get people excited and involved, right? Nobody wants to do more work. We don't need another chore. We are seeking more joy, more liberation.
Yeah, and that comes back to our comments about motherhood, right? That it's like before, or maybe some people still think, well, feminists just want women to be men and no one to be mothers and no one to do this and no one to do that. Again, first of all, that's never been the case. That's a straw man fallacy of what feminism stands for. And it's not true. Feminism is, hey, you as a woman should not be limited to only doing this. Full stop. That's what it is. And so when you are no longer limited and when you take advantage of the things you have access to as a woman today, education, so important. Get your brain smart. Go learn things, okay? Education, money, learn how to make money, get your money. Don't wait for a man to give you money. Get your stability. When you have all of that, you feel happier. You are joyful. You're like, oh my God, I'm able to do all these things and not rely on some guy to approve this for me, to allow me to do this, to sponsor me to be able to do whatever. And so you can be joyful in the fact that you have the options. You exercise those options. You support the options of other women. And you think about, do I feel like I have to curl my hair in order to be feminine? Ooh, let me think about that. Why do I feel like I need to have long hair? Because I had long hair for a long time. I chopped my hair short not even a year ago. I had long hair for so long and it was gorgeous. Sometimes I look at the pictures, I'm like, oh man, just so beautiful.
I've seen the pictures you post. Gorgeous. You look gorgeous now.
So good. Thank you. Yes. But for a long time, I was just very curious about what if I had really short hair? What if I had no hair? What if I shaved my hair off? Just curiosity and playfulness. And again, that's in the book too. Part of the steps is get curious, get playful. What if you did that? Hair grows back, right? But we're so attached to it. We're so like, oh, I can't, my hair. And part of that is patriarchy. And some of our own self-expression is being held back by what we think we have to be to perform femininity. And so last year, I was just like, you know what? I refuse to believe that the length of my hair would ever be a factor for a man being attracted to me that I actually want. I am going full pixie, short, 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 short. And it was terrifying that I did it. It was so liberating. It made me feel so exposed in a very powerful way of like, oof, I'm not hiding behind anything. It's just me and my neck is out here. I've never felt like I turn my head and nothing happens. That's crazy.
It's like a breeze.
It is like losing a limb, I will say. But it's also like losing all the weight of just, I don't have to be that. I don't have to be that to be hot. I don't have to be that to be beautiful. I don't have to be that to love myself and be like, oh yeah, okay. I can be that again if I want to. That's joyful feminism. I don't have to have long hair, but I can. I don't have to have short hair, but I can. I don't have to wear a bra, but I can. That's the work of understanding who you are versus I am playing the role of feminine woman to fit into patriarchal ideals.
Flexing this curiosity muscle, it's in the title of the show, right? I feel like more curious thinking is so healthy and underrated for our own self-perception and happiness, and also for the world. When we talk about disagreements and polarizing topics and discourse, what if we just got a little bit more curious, which feels really dangerous and really vulnerable? Just like you cutting your hair. I have long hair, obviously. I've had long hair for so many years. I've chopped it before, but it's been decades. And I can just feel in myself hearing you talk about it. I'm like, I could never. And you look great. You don't even realize the crap that you attach to and you make it part of your identity when it isn't really. Like, I'm the same person whether I have long hair or not. But it just becomes part of this representation that we put out in the world. And then it gets really confusing internally. Like, well, what parts matter and what parts are what? And what am I doing because I really love it? And what am I doing because there's been 100 times where people have complimented me on this and I don't even actually like it, but oh, I'd give up the compliments.
Yeah, I guess I'll keep doing it.
Yeah, I guess I'll keep doing it.
By the way, I get more compliments on my hair now than I ever did when I had long, full, whatever hair. It's almost every time I leave the house, someone is saying, well, it's never men, unless they're gay, which that's the compliments I want. I want women and gay men to be like, girl,
Highest praise.
thank you. Yeah. I get more compliments than ever. And I never would have guessed that. I never would have been like, well, I actually think I'll get more compliments. No, it's different and it's more genuine of an expression of me right now. And I think that's what people are afraid of. It's like, well, if I change this part about me, then who am I going to become? And my whole thing is like, well, who are you if your hair is that big of a deal? If your identity is just in your hair, come on, girl. You're more than that. Who are you? What do you like? What are your interests? Go through all of that. And that really gives you this strong sense of self. And that's where the self-confidence part of all of it comes in, that it's like, I know who I am. I think I talk about this in the book. You could put me into anyone else's body and I would still be me because I would still have certain things that it's like, okay, well, I'm still going to dress a certain way. I'm still going to organize my house a certain way. I'm still going to be drawn to certain perfumes and certain tastes and styles. My body is not what defines Rebekah, and I'm allowed to experiment with that and test that out. And the more you do that as a woman, I feel like that is, especially as a child-free woman, that's your creation. We're creating ourselves and new versions of ourselves. And a feminine woman who's really aligned with who she is will go through different phases or expressions. They're all genuine, but there's this well of creation that we can tap into that so many women don't because they're afraid. They're afraid of being rejected. They're afraid of people being like, oh my God, I can't believe you did that. I don't owe you the past version of myself forever.
Yes. So many layers to that, what you just said. Because we go through life as these versions of ourselves and people attach to us and we attach to them. And then you shift. If you were somebody who went out and partied a lot and now you don't, that's a thing that comes up, right? Because it's like, okay, that was the identity then. And then there's, of course, people who are like, well, what happened to you? Why don't you come anymore? You're like, this isn't about judgment. It's not about you. I'm doing something different with my Friday nights in this season. There's so many ways we could look at this. And I love the encouragement of play. because we do get so stuck and it feels like everything is serious. And our behavior and our social interactions, I do think it comes down to rejection and this fear of how people will perceive us, which we're so ready to place ahead of our own feelings about our behavior, right? That outside perception is like, I can't mess that up. I can sacrifice myself, but I cannot mess that up because that's the scariest thing of all. And we know that the rejection is a sign that you're just becoming more magnetic. And what you said, you're getting more compliments with your hair like this. I mean, your haircut, it's a great haircut, but also I'm sure it's your energy, right? And women can feel that. And you go out in the world and you're showing up with this extra layer of magnetism, which is inherently polarizing. We can't have it both ways. The more we step into that fullest expression, the more some people run away from us, but the most aligned people run toward us. And that's such a fun area to experiment. I love it. Such a good example. Okay. One other thing you talk about that I want to make sure we discuss here, celebrating women. We're talking about joyfulness and experimenting and playing and having fun. And we know that most of the benchmark celebrations in a woman's life have very little to do with her as the woman. It's like the woman is marrying someone else. The woman is having a baby, which is about that human that she's conjured. So few things that are just about us. And I love it when you talk about this. So give us your point of view.
Yeah. As someone who's dated a lot and had several men talking about marrying me, getting married in and of itself, not an accomplishment. Having a child in and of itself, not an accomplishment. That can happen by accident. I would never just get a college degree by accident. It wouldn't just show up in the mail and, oops, I got a degree. You can become impregnated and have a child and not put any effort into that. Not to take anything away from the experience of pregnancy. Again, that's terrifying to me. I don't want to experience that. And I think that women who do that, it's like, wow, that's a lot. But it's not an accomplishment. It's something that most people can just do easily. So, especially given the fact that women were prevented from being educated, from controlling their finances, from having a business, from doing a lot of the things that we are doing today, celebrating that is so important because it validates who that woman is as an individual. It validates her choice, her perseverance, her evolution, her growth in a way that my great grandma, she couldn't do that. Either it was illegal or there was no way. So not only do we need to celebrate that for ourselves, but we need to celebrate that as a recognition that these rights have not always been available to people like us. So it's a celebration of not just what we've accomplished, but the things that we choose to do, the things that we choose to pour into, that it's like, yes, you don't have children, you don't have a family, you don't have a husband. Those things naturally expect you to be pouring into them. What are you pouring into? Oh, you wrote a book. That's amazing. Let's celebrate the fact that you wrote a book. And even for yourself, celebrate the fact, Rebekah, I am talking to myself, celebrate the fact that you wrote this book, that you did a second edition of this book. I have a little routine. I have a little ritual every time I go up another 5,000 and soon to be another 10,000 followers. I get myself a little cupcake. I have a pack of candles. I light the candle and I reward myself. I celebrate myself for, hey, apparently people care about what I have to say. It's really cool to touch the lives of these women. I'm going to celebrate that. And so that's another thing that women collectively hold back on and limit ourselves to, that it's like, well, if someone's getting married, yeah, I'll pay for the trip to go to the wedding and buy the expensive gift and whatever. But it's her 35th birthday. Man, I'm tired. I don't want to go. What are you saying with your choices? You're saying that a wedding is more important than showing up for your friend on a birthday. Maybe it is good. Again, yeah, celebrate the wedding. Sure. I'm not saying don't. But unless you know that this woman has gone through a lot to find this man who you also are like, I'm so glad that she's marrying him. They're so great for each other. Show up for that. But again, it's like the people who are settling, the people who are like, oh, I hate this guy and she's marrying him. And yet you're going to show up for that, but you're not showing up for the friend who's doing amazing things that in the past were super illegal.
Yeah. And even worse than not showing up, I think there can be a feeling like our celebrations of our own accomplishments are so self-indulgent. Oh my God. She's throwing herself an elaborate birthday party to turn 39. Oh my God. All about her, right? Or like, oh, she wants us to come to her party for her book. It's just this feeling. And for any woman listening, if this triggers you, good. I think we need to normalize. Think about it. What bugs you about the woman who throws an event for her business?
Yeah, why do you think that that's not okay?
Right. For me, it's not about taking away from the traditional celebrations. The world needs more parties. I think the world needs more time to gather for fun. The point is to lift someone up, have fun together, be positive, think differently, enjoy one another's company. It's not like, oh, down with the baby showers. Let's do this stuff instead. Let her have the baby shower. And also, let's celebrate your book launch. It can be both. And I feel like we need to, even as women, let us have that and work through these feelings within ourselves of like, oh, I can't believe she's doing that for herself. Wait a minute. Isn't that amazing? Shouldn't we go to support her in that?
Yeah. It's interesting because the baby shower thing I struggle with and the wedding thing. Here's what I think. So you're telling me you two people, double income household now, you want me to buy your pots and pans for you? I bought my own. Where's mine? You together have more than me. And now you're having a baby, which that's, again, your choice. You have a partner. It's not my fault if your partner sucks. You've chosen this person. You want me to pay for that for you? Did you pay for my dog food when I bought my dog? Did you buy a kennel for me? Did I have a puppy shower? I don't know. I struggle with it. I guess I don't know how I feel about it, but this is just my process.
I like you sharing this openly.
And again, this is what's normalized, right? Back in the day, this made total sense because one, women were not living on their own. Nobody was living on their own. Everyone, all the money, all the stuff, it was all coming from men. And men were saying, oh, I'm taking on this wife. And now this is my responsibility. And we together have to go out and leave our parents' homes and build this future and start from scratch. Oh my God, we need all this help. And the community came together and they provided the help. And that makes sense. We need to evolve our traditions with what is now the reality. It doesn't make any sense anymore in my mind that it's like, no, because first of all, you probably already have all these things because you're adults living on your own, getting married. It's not two people living at their parents' house, coming together, and now for the first time, they're living on it. I don't know. It's just really weird to me. And it's like, I'm sick of buying these presents. But it's like, I bought this for myself. Two people together, double income. They get to split the rent. They get to do whatever. I don't know. It's tough for me. I feel like we've outgrown the tradition and we got to do a new tradition. And I'm all for celebrating, but it's like, what do we replace it with? I don't know.
Yeah, these feelings are valid. And I appreciate you processing this with us, right? Because this is other stuff that we never get to say out loud and it's super real. Are you a fan of Sex and the City?
I've watched it. I don't know if I'm a fan. I watched it for the first time 2 years ago. It was like literally when I was 31 or something. And I'm like, oh my God, this girl Carrie, she's so embarrassing.
Yes, that is a very widely shared opinion. Something about the show, it was on when I was in high school on HBO, and we did not have HBO, but there's one girl who had HBO at her house. We would watch it, but we didn't really understand it because we were in high school in the rural Ohio. Anyway, it's been like this formative thing in my life. And I just feel, and maybe it's just my fandom started at the right age, I just feel like it's still so perfectly relatable. And my purpose, it sticks. The examples, the quotes, it comes into my mind all the time, like right now. And there's a whole episode where Carrie goes to a baby shower. They make everybody take off their shoes. This is famous. Her Manolo Blahniks they get swollen. And then the woman's like, your silly fancy shoes. I've got real problems. I've got a family. Carrie, deal with it. And then she registers for shoes because she does the math and everything just for this one woman between the engagement and the baby showers and the trips. She spent thousands of dollars celebrating this woman. But because Carrie's single, she gets bupkis. So it's like, buy me the shoes. I feel like single women everywhere are like, yeah, exactly. We pour in all this stuff. And it is a tricky thing because it's not, I love buying gifts. That's one of my things. So it's not that I don't want to buy you a gift, but it is a rip.
It's not reciprocated.
Yeah, it's not reciprocated.
Okay. Again, it's like, this is a bad deal for me. And it's not that relationships are transactional, but it's like, oh my God, why would I continue, even in the ways that married people or people with children then just stop showing up for their friends? I call you, you're not available. I invite you out, you don't come. Okay, we're not friends anymore. And now you've gotten all this stuff from me and I've been there for you. And now I just have to turn around and start from scratch.
Yeah, make a new friend.
Even in the relational, emotional support thing, it's like, well, you bail on that too. And that's not true of everyone, obviously, but that's a thing. And they talk about that in Sex and the City too, that it's like their friends disappear once they get married and have kids. But yeah, I was shocked at how relatable it was because I was watching it just a couple years ago and I'm like, this came out so long ago. And I'm like, ah, that's so true.
But it's accurate. This female experience. And of course, it's dramatized for TV, but yeah. And there's so much there with the friendship. That's a whole other side. That goes both ways too. Like Miranda was terrified of becoming one of those women when she had a baby. And like, I can't lose my friends. And then there's so many things that go into it. But I totally hear you on the celebrations. And I hope you keep doing it and do it publicly. And we all need to do it. I'm thinking about throwing a small party this summer because it'll be 10 years of me consistently strength training. I could feel myself being like, oh my God, that's so lame. You need a party because you have an exercise routine. Who doesn't? Everybody's doing their physical stuff. But then also part of me is like, no, I want to set the tone that going to the gym many times a week for 10 years straight isn't easy. You're there by yourself. I want to freaking celebrate it. And I should be allowed. And for anybody who thinks it's weird, maybe you're weird.
Yeah, it's like, okay, you can think that it's weird all you want. That's not going to stop me. That's not going to make me feel weird about it. I think that those people don't think in the way that we're talking about that challenge the tradition. Why does this exist? Why do we do this? Does this still make sense? Where did this come from? Is this something that I want to continue? And how could I be curious and playful with my own life and how I operate and do things that bring me joy? Who doesn't want an excuse to celebrate? Like you said, I love buying presents for people. I like showing up for people. I like doing all that stuff, but I want it to be reciprocated. I want people to show up for me as well. I remember I posted a video about women don't want to get married. They want to be celebrated or they want to have a wedding or whatever I said. And the difference in all of this, because a lot of the comments were like, well, you can throw a party for yourself. No one's stopping you. And it's like, right. But who throws the baby shower? The friends. Who plans the wedding? The family. There's something about someone taking the time and the thought of, I know this is really important to you. And so I am planning this to celebrate you. Because then it's not, oh, Rebekah's celebrating herself. It's like, well, I would like my friends to celebrate me unprompted, but if it's not going to happen, I guess I'll do it for myself. And let's just start doing this type of stuff. And it's always going to be weird. It's always going to be seen as weird by the first few people who do it. But then in 10 years, it's going to be normal. And we're going to be like, I can't believe we didn't used to do this. We were just waiting around for a wedding. And that was the only time that we were fully celebrated. I had a friend who created a birthday registry for herself for her 35th birthday or something like that. She was like, I don't get presents from anyone anymore, and I'm excited about my birthday. So I am making a Amazon gift registry for my birthday. And I was like, I love that. Send it to me. And I bought her a bunch of stuff on that. I was like, here you go, happy birthday. Then when I bought my place, I was like, you know what? I'm going to make a registry for a housewarming party for myself digitally. My friends are like all over the place. That's the other thing, that it's like, I know people all over and they're not all in one place. So I made this registry and I'm like, you know what? Maybe people will send me things, maybe they won't. But it's not even really about that. It's about doing this so that I am now an example for someone else to then do it, for it to be normalized. It's like, hey, I bought a house on my own. I actually needing help furnishing stuff and paying for stuff. Like, yikes. If anyone needs help, it's the single people. So I did. And people sent me stuff. And sometimes it was people I didn't even expect. And I'm like, oh my God, like that's so nice. It's those types of things that, yeah, some people are going to see that and go, my God, I can't believe that she did that. Well, believe it, because I did and it worked. So,
Yes. And you never know, even behind closed doors, I feel like sometimes the people who react to us with the most bite, like, I don't like that idea, sometimes they think about it. And I've had people come to me, and sometimes it opens them. And I've had people come back to me years later and say, like, you did this thing. And I thought that was so dumb and insane. But then I thought about it and now I see it. And now I'm trying to do something like this. I think it's exceptionally rare that we get that kind of validation long term, but you can trust that it's out there.
it happens and you don't even know it. You will never hear about it. That's the other thing about being, I don't want to say public figure because I'm far from that, but putting stuff out there. It's like there are people that you will reach and impact, and you'll never know. There are people who will send you messages and you'll be like, oh my God, yeah. Or like you'll meet people and they're like, hey, people told me to interview you. It's like, oh my God, cool. I had no idea. But there's so much that happens that you just don't know about. And so even if it feels like, ugh, that was embarrassing, or oof, that was a flop, or oof, whatever, there may have been one person who saw that and was like, yeah, I'm going to do that too. And you'll never know.
And all goes back to the beauty of that self-knowing, that self-expression, because you're not doing it for that. It's okay that you never know. We can trust that our work is having an impact, or our voices, just being alive, just being a person. I'm not even talking about like doing stuff on the internet, just being a person and interacting in the real world. That has an impact. We're not doing it because we need to know what that is. Just being yourself and putting that out there with boldness and authenticity matters. Rebekah, I could talk to you forever. For everybody listening who feels the same way and wants to be in touch with you and following your work, tell the people the best place to find you and get in touch.
So I would say Substack. That's where I'm doing a lot of things. So Nobody's Mother on Substack. If you don't know what Substack is, it's like the best place to find writing. It's like an email newsletter and a blog and all of that. Obviously, like TikTok and Instagram, I have my little short videos, but I also do coaching. And so if you're like, I want your perspective on what I have going on, or I struggle with body image and I want help with this, you can book a session on the link in my bio. So I'm available.
We'll make sure all those things are tagged so everybody can get in touch with you. Thank you for sharing your perspective and your wisdom here with us today. I love learning from you, and I feel like this is just the beginning. If this conversation resonated with you, follow the show and leave a review so more cool child-free people can find us. I love meeting listeners, so also find me on Instagram at Curious Life of a Child-Free Woman, and let's keep the conversation going. It's not about comparison, it's about possibility.